Well, it was our second full day in Manchester, England. We started out with another great buffet breakfast at the Clayton Hotel. Now, this was actually our last day to stay at the Clayton Hotel, so we had to get up, get dressed, get packed, get our bags out, and get ready to board the bus. Now, here's our bus. It's a Gate 1 charter bus that's pretty awesome, pretty new, and we had to drive through the English countryside to get to our destination for today, which was Chatsworth home. I want to say estate or mansion because it's so humongous, but it's called Chatsworth home. So when we drove through the countryside, we saw a lot of sheep and a lot of rock fencing that was dated back for like 2 centuries, but very pretty to look at, very different from where we're from. I didn't get a whole lot of video driving the countryside because I fell asleep. I could not sleep on an airplane to save my life, but you put me on one of those charter buses, I'm asleep in about 5 minutes. But I did get a little bit of video right before we got to the big estate. Now, I didn't really know what we were getting into, where we were going, but I always trust Gate 1 Travel, and I knew they were going to take us somewhere really cool, and they did. It was called Chatsworth Home. And when we pulled up, it was already humongous. It looked like a giant castle or a super mansion, just humongous. But they told us where to go in. They gave us our tickets right when we got off the bus. And they had this beautiful gate when you walked in. And the little walk up to the home was just extraordinary. I kind of felt like I was going to Downton Abbey, which I wanted to go to, but it wasn't open this time of the year. So this was just as nice. I can't believe people used to live like this. This is just extravagant. So this was kind of like where they form lines to get in, but the day we went, we didn't have to wait. They had someone dressed up in a costume right when we walked in. And then this was the very first room you walked in. It was full of Christmas trees and had some really nice paintings in it. People were taking pictures everywhere. And I wanted to get a picture of this painting above the fireplaces of all their different dogs. I love that. And I'm really glad we went during this time of the year because every room was fully decorated with Christmas decorations, and it was just really beautiful. They spent a lot of time putting all these decorations up. Now, this had to be their main room of their house. The ceilings were painted. All their railings were in wrought iron. Their tree was humongous. It was just so beautiful. It's exactly what you expect to see when you walk into this type of mansion. The estate was pretty easy to navigate through. They kind of had arrows to point you in what direction to go to. Wasn't hard at all. I think it probably took us about maybe 45 minutes to go through the whole house. And that's because we stopped a lot to take pictures of these types of rooms because they were so stunning. I'm so glad we take video and pictures because, you can live in the moment and enjoy these type places, but you can never remember 1% of the details if you don't have video and pictures. So I'm so glad we do that. Now, this hallway obviously was where the previous owners collected different pieces of artwork and different types of crystals and rocks. They really like that, which I love those type of rocks myself. So that was kind of cool to go through. And then you just go on to the next room. Here's the room with that wrought iron railing. That was so beautiful. They did such a good job decorating this place. Here they had trees tied to the railing and lights all on them. You see all the way up. It's so magnificent. This was overlooking that main room when we went upstairs and overlooking one of the little rounded balconies. And then this was the next room. I don't know what these lights were made out of at the top, if that was fabric or paper, but they were pretty cool. Then they had a giant painting of the estate that you could kind of see everything on the property of. And this was just maybe like a bedroom. There were so many rooms in this place. I didn't videotape every single one. Here they had like animation on these 3 big windows. I don't know if these are permanent displays there all year or just up for Christmas, but they were pretty cool to watch. And then they had this display you could stand in and take pictures with. That's Ray standing in that little, maybe a marionette box. I'm not sure. The estate was filled with beautiful furnishings and all kinds of paintings and pictures and elaborate picture frames. And then they had family pictures everywhere. This place was just really cool. And it's exactly what you expect to see when you walk into an English estate. So cool. And then this was like what I think this was the main staircase room where they had all the family pictures going all the way up to the ceiling. And then they kind of mixed some modern twist with this place. They would put disco balls up in some of the rooms and shine a spotlight on it so it would like shoot the little white prisms around the room. Now these next rooms, this is like their sitting room right off their library. Their library was so beautiful. Oh my God, just imagine the people that are lucky enough they got to live in this type of house in their lifetime. And then walking into this next room, this was their dining room. And I had seen some of the postcards and books of what it looked like when it was not Christmas time. And it was pretty, but it is nothing like it is when it's decorated for Christmas. Again, I am so glad we were able to tour this place during the holiday season because it's like 10 times as grand. Look at this table they had set up. This was their main dining table, and they had all their fancy things out to show us. And look here, they had a gingerbread replica of the estate. And then coming up after the dining room was the last room you got to tour before you exited the estate. And this room was really cool. It was full of statues. They looked more like I don't know, Greek or Roman statues, but the way they had this room decorated was fabulous. Everything was in a certain color scheme. It's very tastefully done. And I really enjoyed this room a whole lot. And then you guessed it, as soon as you exit out the final room that was so beautiful, you enter this extravagant gift shop so you can buy some souvenirs of the Chatsworth estate. They really had some cute stuff. They had that tin right there full of English tea. It was only 12.5 pounds. And then they had these ornaments that were 11 pounds, and these fabric ornaments were more like 16 and 18 pounds, which is not terrible. It's not cheap, but not horrible for a place like this. So we did end up buying just one ornament, and I think I got a postcard. But I enjoy being in shops like this, and a lot of people were buying things, so that's a good way for them to add a little extra income to keep this place up. These little mice characters all over the house, so that must be their little mascot. Had some really pretty ornaments and some really good gift ideas. What we do is we buy one ornament every time we go somewhere or visit somewhere like this, so we put it on our travel tree. Now these little fudge cakes were really cool, but they were about 10 pounds a slice, so that's probably what, $13-14 in American money for one piece. But very pretty to look at and very pretty to take pictures of. And then here's Ray showing off one of those. They are pretty big. And then here's a couple more of their cool ornaments they had. And then they had some little, I think these were little candies you could eat that were shaped like fruit. They look very realistic. So after we left the gift shop, we did go to the gardens. They had acres and acres of garden area, which we didn't want to tour at all because we knew we would get tired easily. I love this dog statue they had in the corner of the back of the estate that overlooks the estate. And then they also had a maze on the estate where it was a maze out of hedges that you could go explore. And our tour guide said, please don't do it, you might get lost. So they had the little, what is that, little fountain area with some really cool modern art benches, had statues everywhere. This is actually in the back of the estate where we got a really good video of how long the estate actually is. It is humongous. And then when we went to the very back of the estate where these used to be the stables, but they've turned these into maybe 2 or 3 restaurants and another big gift shop. And I thought this was pretty cool. It was a marshmallow toasting station. You could buy your marshmallows and then go over there and toast them. Now this place was called the Parlor, I believe. This is where we ate lunch. And I just got a Coca-Cola and a bowl of roasted potatoes for about 10 pounds. Then it was time to leave and we stopped at a little rest area and I saw these really cool Grinch cookies. On these trips, we get to change hotels every couple days, and this one was called the Stratford Manor, and it was a circular hotel. It was pretty cool, and I just took a quick video of it so we can remember what it looked like. And that's the front, and then this is what our room looked like. Our room was pretty basic, but good enough to sleep in and get some rest to continue the adventure. Now, this was a super full day. After we left our hotel, we went to Warwick Castle to see the light trail. And when we first got there, the weather wasn't that bad, but they said the weather might get worse, and it did. It started raining. It was so windy and so cold. Like in our normal life, we're normally in bed at this time, and here we are exploring England in tornadic weather almost. It was really hard to walk through, but it was worth it. Everything was so beautiful. Everything was so colorful. They had a really cool tunnel of lights you got to walk through when you entered the trail. That was really cool, and we wanted to take some pictures in it, but that wind was so bad it was blowing our umbrellas backwards and everything. So luckily we did get a couple easier spots where the weather wasn't as bad. The wind would come and go, so we just made the most of it, and we had a good time and took a lot of pictures and video. It actually was a really cool experience walking through the tunnel, and as you walk through it, the lights would change colors as you walk through it, and that's what the tunnel looked like from afar, so you can see how long it was. But really cool experience walking through that tunnel, and it made some really pretty pictures. Now, when you started walking through, they had a lot of spotlights shining up on trees to make the trees look like they were different colors, and that was really cool. And here we are with our hoodies and our umbrellas trying to stay dry. Had all kinds of little fun things to take pictures of. They had music everywhere. And then this little tree, they had a projection shining on a tree to make him look alive. And I think he was singing Jingle Bells at the time. Then they had some circus tents set up where you could go. They had little food vendors in there. Had this cool tree that looked like lightning. And I tried to wait because it changed all different colors. But as soon as I stood there, it quit changing colors. So I just took a little video of what was there because, again, it felt like we were in a tornado. I didn't want to stand there too long. Had another little easier tunnel of lights you could walk through, a little more simple. And then you'd walk across a little, I don't know, it's not really a river, a little canal. And you could see this castle. It's the back side of the castle, and they would do projection lights on it and strobe lights. And it's really nice. It had a lot of loud music playing. All the bright lights were the main attraction to see. Then they had different kind of laser lights, like where you could go down different pathways. Like here's one of them, was kind of futuristic. And the strings on the side looked like giant glow-in-the-dark necklaces. That was pretty cool. Here's another part of the castle lit up. The bright colors just really made it nice. And if it wasn't raining so hard and the wind so bad, it really would have been a great experience, which it still was. It was just cold, and I worried about us getting sick because it was so cold and rainy. And this is what the castle looked like. They had little, I guess, animatronics or shadow dancers in the windows. Pretty cool. So we took a couple more cheesy touristy pictures, and then this was almost the end of the tour, so we took some pictures at the very end of the castle because it was lit up so cool. And it's just, like I said, another great memory to put in our journal. So This was Warwick Castle. This is the very end. They had a big ice skating rink, and all these parents had their kids out in the rain ice skating, but apparently they were having a good time and not worried about it. But maybe that's more common in England. Maybe they get so much rain, they just live through it. So all in all, another great day. And if you go to England, just make sure you take your hoodie and your umbrella. Well, that was our day 2 of England, going to Chatsworth Home and Warwick Castle. And they were both really cool, and I'd highly recommend both of them. But just make sure you watch that weather forecast before going to Warwick Castle Light Trail at night. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying our videos, and we're going to do our day 3 pretty soon. So have a great week.